Ew, why is that thing even allowed in here? Trevor Matthews' voice cuts through Murphy's diner like a slap. Maya Johnson freezes in the doorway, her leg braces suddenly feeling heavier than lead. The 17-year-old quarterback jumps onto his booth seat, arms flailing in a grotesque parody of Maya's careful movements. His designer sneakers stomp the vinyl as he mimics her walking pattern. "Look, guys, it's the robot dance!" Trevor's voice booms across the silent restaurant. His four friends howl with laughter, phones capturing every humiliating second. Maya's hands shake on her walking braces. 30 pairs of eyes burn into her skin. Trevor pulls out his phone, zooming in on Maya's face. "This is going straight to TikTok. #disabled fail's gonna trend tonight." What Maya doesn't know is that this nightmare is about to become these bullies' worst mistake. Maya Johnson has faced challenges her entire life, but nothing prepared her for this moment. Born with cerebral palsy affecting her legs, she's learned to navigate a world not built for people like her. The metal braces supporting her legs aren't a symbol of weakness. They're her armor, helping her stand tall despite the odds. At 16, Maya carries a 4.0 GPA and acceptance letters from 3 Ivy League schools. Her backpack, now trembling in her grip, holds certificates from the National Honor Society and volunteer awards from the Veterans Affairs Hospital. Every Tuesday and Thursday, she reads to wounded soldiers, men and women who understand what it means to adapt and overcome. Murphy's Diner sits in the heart of Millbrook, a mid-sized American city where old money families like the Matthews clan control half the commercial real estate. The restaurant's red vinyl booths have witnessed 3 generations of celebrations, heartbreaks, and community gatherings. Faded photographs of local heroes line the walls. Police officers, firefighters, teachers, and soldiers who've served their community with honor. Among those photographs hangs a prominent display. Colonel Marcus Johnson in full dress uniform, ribbons gleaming across his chest. The brass nameplate reads, "Medal of Honor recipient, Operation Enduring Freedom." Most customers glance at it without recognition. Today, that ignorance will cost some people dearly. Trevor Matthews represents everything toxic about unchecked privilege. The quarterback's father owns Matthews Real Estate Development, the company that gentrified half of downtown Millbrook. Trevor never faced a real consequence. His grades are bought, his college admission guaranteed through donations, his cruelty enabled by parents who confuse money with morality. His crew follows him like satellites orbiting a dying star. Chloe Henderson, blonde and vicious, live streams cruelty for her 50,000 TikTok followers. Derek Walsh seeks Trevor's approval like a drug, willing to humiliate anyone for a moment of acceptance. Austin Park drowns his insecurities in expensive clothes and cruel laughter. Brandon Cole, the only one with a functioning conscience, stays silent to protect his social status. Behind the counter, Elena Rodriguez wipes down coffee cups with shaking hands. She's built her American dream one shift at a time, working 2 jobs to fund her daughter's college education. The promotion to day manager came after 3 years of proving herself, and she can't afford to lose this job. When rich kids cause problems, Elena has learned to look the other way. Today, that learned helplessness will haunt her. The diner buzzes with its usual afternoon crowd. Mrs. Dorothy Patterson, a retired teacher, sits with her husband reviewing their medication schedule. She spent 40 years standing up to bullies in classrooms, but retirement has made her cautious. A businessman in a corner booth types frantically on his laptop, deadline pressure making him oblivious to the brewing storm. Maya chose Murphy's Diner for a reason. After her mother's death 3 years ago, she and her father established a tradition, celebrating academic achievements with apple pie at Murphy's. Today marks her acceptance into the National Honor Society, a milestone that would have made her mother burst with pride. Her father, Colonel Marcus Johnson, currently serves his final deployment in Afghanistan. His last video call showed the exhaustion of a career soldier ready to come home, ready to be the father Maya deserves. She carries his photograph in her wallet, a talisman of strength when the world feels overwhelming. The irony burns like acid. Maya sits in a diner that honors her father's service while strangers treat her like garbage. The Reserved for Heroes plaque on Trevor's commandeered booth adds insult to injury. These entitled teenagers have claimed the table meant to honor sacrifice, turning it into a throne for cruelty. Trevor's phone buzzes with notifications from his social media empire. 17,000 followers hang on his every post, treating his casual cruelty like entertainment. He's built his identity on being untouchable, unaccountable, and unopposed. The smartphone in his hand isn't just a device, it's a weapon capable of destroying reputations with a single viral video. Maya's phone contains her lifeline to her father, scheduled to call in 2 hours for their weekly check-in. She's practiced telling him about the Honor Society acceptance, imagining his proud smile across the satellite connection. That conversation will never happen as planned. The diner's atmosphere shifts as Trevor's performance continues. Conversations quiet to whispers. Children stare with confusion while parents avert their eyes. The community that should protect its most vulnerable members instead becomes an audience to their destruction. Maya's legs ache from standing in the doorway, but moving forward feels impossible. Every step will bring her deeper into Trevor's crosshairs, closer to a humiliation she's spent years learning to avoid. Her mother's voice echoes in her memory. "Baby girl, dignity isn't something they can take from you. You have to give it away." Today, Maya refuses to surrender. The wall clock ticks toward 3:47 p.m. In 13 minutes, everything will change. Colonel Johnson's transport plane touches down at Millbrook Regional Airport at 4 p.m., his deployment cut short by emergency family leave. The surprise homecoming planned for weeks was meant to be a celebration. Instead, it becomes a reckoning. Elena's phone buzzes behind the counter, a notification from her daughter's school about early dismissal. She glances at the message, then at Maya standing frozen in the doorway, then at Trevor performing his cruel theater. The weight of inaction settles on her shoulders like a lead blanket. The businessman's laptop screen displays a live stream from a social media monitoring service. His company tracks viral content for crisis management, and his algorithms are already flagging unusual activity from Millbrook High School accounts. In 30 minutes, he'll recognize the diner in the background of Trevor's video. Maya takes her first step forward, metal braces clicking against the tile floor. The sound echoes like a countdown timer, each step bringing her closer to a confrontation that will define her, destroy her tormentors, and remind an entire community what courage looks like. The apple pie special sits untouched behind the display case, waiting for a celebration that feels increasingly impossible. Maya's tradition, her connection to her mother's memory, hangs in the balance as Trevor's laughter grows louder and more vicious. In 12 minutes, a father's love will collide with a bully's cruelty, and this small-town diner will become ground zero for a viral sensation that changes everything. Maya forces herself to take another step forward, her braces clicking against the checkered floor. The sound seems to trigger something primal in Trevor, like a predator sensing wounded prey. "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" Trevor hops down from the booth, his expensive sneakers squeaking on the tile. "I think you're lost, sweetheart. The special needs section is probably around back by the dumpsters." His voice carries that particular brand of cruelty that only comes from a lifetime of never facing consequences. Chloe immediately raises her phone higher, ensuring she captures every angle of Maya's humiliation. "Oh my God, you guys, this is about to be so viral!" Chloe's voice drips with fake excitement. "Look at those things on her legs. What even are those?" Maya's face burns hotter than the grill in the kitchen. She grips her braces tighter, knuckles white against the metal supports that help her walk. "They're called leg braces. I have cerebral palsy." "Cerebral what-see?" Derek joins the performance, his voice loud enough for the entire diner to hear. "Is that contagious? Should we be worried?" Nervous laughter ripples through Trevor's group. Austin pulls out his own phone, adding to the documentation of Maya's torment. Even Brandon, who looks uncomfortable, doesn't intervene. "I have every right to eat here just like anyone else," Maya says, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. She's practiced this speech in mirrors, preparing for moments exactly like this. Trevor steps closer, using his height advantage like a weapon. "Rights? That's funny. See, my dad owns the building next door, and my family's been coming here since before you were probably even born, so technically we have more rights than some random charity case." The words hit Maya like physical blows. She thinks of her father's deployment stretched from 12 months to 18 because of mission changes. The loneliness, the worry, the night spent wondering if he's safe. All of it gets twisted into ammunition for Trevor's cruelty. "My father serves this country," Maya says, her voice gaining strength. He's deployed overseas right now, protecting people like— Oh, boo-hoo! Chloe interrupts, still recording. Daddy issues much? Let me guess. He couldn't handle having a broken kid, so he ran away to play soldier? The cruelty of the comment silences even some of Trevor's followers. Austin lowers his phone slightly, his expression shifting toward discomfort, but Trevor feeds off the energy like a vampire. Wait, this is even better, Trevor says, his eyes lighting up with malicious inspiration. So not only are you physically defective, but your own father abandoned you. That's like double the sob story. Chloe, make sure you get this part. Maya's composure finally cracks. Tears threaten at the corners of her eyes, but she refuses to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of these monsters. He didn't abandon me, she whispers, but her voice lacks its earlier conviction. Elena Rodriguez watches from behind the counter, her dish towel frozen in her hands. She knows she should intervene, but Trevor's family could destroy her with a single phone call. Her daughter's college fund, built penny by penny over years of double shifts, could vanish if she loses this job. Mrs. Patterson shifts in her booth, her teaching instincts screaming at her to stop this cruelty. But her husband's hand on her arm reminds her of Trevor's father's influence in the community. The Matthews family has crushed people for less. You know what I think? Trevor continues, emboldened by the audience's silence. I think Daddy took one look at his broken little girl and decided the military was a better option than dealing with his disappointment. The words land like a sledgehammer to Maya's chest. Her father's last video call flashes through her memory. His tired eyes, his promise to come home soon, his pride when she told him about her grades. That's not true, Maya says, but her voice is barely audible now. Derek senses weakness like a shark smells blood. Look, guys, it's about to cry. Should we get tissues or just let it drip all over the floor? The dehumanizing language, referring to Maya as it, creates a new level of cruelty that makes even some customers wince. But still, no one intervenes. Maya reaches for her phone with shaking hands, desperate for any connection to her father, any proof that she's valued and loved. But Trevor notices the movement. Oh, no, he says, stepping forward with predatory intent. We're not done here yet. The wall clock reads 3:52 p.m. 8 minutes until everything changes. But Maya doesn't know help is coming. She only knows she's alone, surrounded by wolves with nowhere to run. Trevor's hand moves toward her phone, and Maya realizes this nightmare is just beginning. Trevor's hand shoots out like a striking snake, snatching Maya's phone before she can react. Her lifeline to her father disappears into his grip, held high above her reach like a trophy. Who are you gonna call? The cripple police? Trevor waves the phone mockingly, his height advantage making recovery impossible for Maya. Or maybe you want to tattletale to Daddy? Oh, wait. He's probably busy pretending to be a hero somewhere far away from his broken little girl. Chloe squeals with delight, her live stream viewer count climbing rapidly. You guys, this is insane! We're at like 3,000 viewers already! Everyone spam the comments! Maya stretches desperately for her phone, her balance precarious on the leg braces. Derek notices her struggle and deliberately slides his foot forward, creating an obstacle designed to trip her. Careful there, robot girl, Derek taunts. Wouldn't want you to fall and break something else. Maya catches herself against a nearby table, but the sudden movement causes her backpack to slip from her shoulder. The zipper breaks from the impact, spilling her precious contents across the diner floor like scattered dreams. Her National Honor Society certificate unfurls near Trevor's feet. Academic achievement awards spread across the sticky tiles. A photograph of her receiving the Principal's Award for Community Service slides toward the kitchen door. Oh, what do we have here? Brandon picks up the Honor Society certificate, his voice dripping with false surprise. Guys, check this out. Little Miss Robot here thinks she's smart. Trevor grabs the certificate from Brandon's hands, examining it with theatrical confusion. National Honor Society? Are you kidding me? They're really lowering standards these days if they're giving participation trophies to the disabled. The words cut deep, because Maya earned that certificate through countless hours of extra study, compensating for processing delays caused by her condition. Late nights, when other teenagers socialized, she worked twice as hard to achieve what others took for granted. Elena approaches hesitantly from behind the counter, her conscience finally overriding her fear. Excuse me, perhaps you could return the young lady's belongings and— Perhaps you could mind your own business, lady. Trevor interrupts, his voice turning ugly and threatening. Unless you want me to call immigration about your work status, pretty sure my dad knows people who could make life very difficult for you. Elena's face drains of color. The threat hits its mark with surgical precision. She's worked too hard building her legal status to risk everything now. She retreats behind the counter, shame burning in her chest. Mrs. Patterson half rises from her booth, 4 decades of teaching experience screaming at her to intervene. But her husband's weathered hand clamps onto her wrist with surprising strength. "Dorothy, sit down!" Mr. Patterson hisses under his breath. "That's the Matthews boy. His father destroyed the Hendersons' business last year over a parking dispute. Don't make us his next target." The elderly woman's face twists with anguish as she lowers herself back into the booth. Her silence feels like a betrayal of every principle she taught her students about standing up to bullies. Trevor notices Maya's wallet among the scattered belongings and scoops it up with greedy fingers. He flips it open, searching for ammunition to fuel his cruelty. Well, what do we have here? He pulls out a worn photograph of Colonel Marcus Johnson in full-dress uniform, medals gleaming across his chest. The image shows a proud soldier, shoulders straight, eyes forward, everything Trevor will never be. Look at this, guys. Trevor holds up the photo like evidence in a trial. Daddy's little soldier boy costume, let me guess. Another government freeloader living off our tax dollars while his kid begs for scraps. Maya's composure finally shatters completely. Don't you dare talk about my father. He saved more lives than you could ever— Saved lives? Derek interrupts with a cruel laugh. Or just found the perfect excuse to run away from his problems, like his defective daughter. The word defective hangs in the air like poison gas. Several customers shift uncomfortably, but their discomfort doesn't translate into action. Austin joins the feeding frenzy, his insecurity driving him to match his friend's cruelty. I bet he's not even really deployed, probably just another deadbeat dad who couldn't handle raising a freak. Maya's tears flow freely now, each drop feeding Trevor's sadistic pleasure. Her worst fears, that she's a burden, that her father's deployment is an escape from dealing with her, get weaponized by teenagers who've never faced real hardship. You know what? Trevor's eyes light up with inspiration born from pure malice. Since Daddy's not here to take care of his little burden, maybe we should teach you some life lessons ourselves. He signals to his crew with subtle gestures perfected through years of coordinated bullying. They form a loose circle around Maya, cutting off her escape routes like wolves surrounding injured prey. This is better than Netflix, Chloe declares to her live stream audience. You guys are going to make this so viral. Don't forget to subscribe and share. The businessman in the corner booth finally looks up from his laptop, his crisis management algorithms flagging unusual social media activity from this location, but corporate training hasn't prepared him for real-world intervention. Austin begins mimicking Maya's walk again, this time more aggressively and deliberately humiliating. He exaggerates each step, adding theatrical stumbles and mechanical sound effects. Beep, beep, robot coming through, Austin announces. Warning, defective model ahead. Maya feels trapped in a nightmare where every avenue of escape leads to more humiliation. Her phone remains in Trevor's possession, her belongings scattered like roadkill, her dignity hanging by threads. Trevor studies the photograph of Colonel Johnson with theatrical concentration, then looks at his can of Coke with obvious intent. You know what I think this picture needs? Trevor asks his audience. A little drink. What do you guys think? Should we baptize the war hero? He holds the precious photograph directly over his open Coke can, condensation dripping from the rim. Maya's father's image wavers above the dark liquid like a soul hanging over hell. Please, Maya whispers, her voice breaking entirely. That's all I have left of him. Aw, that's so sad, Chloe coos with fake sympathy. Maybe you should have thought about that before being born wrong. The cruelty reaches levels that make even Brandon shift uncomfortably. But his discomfort doesn't translate into action. Social survival instincts override moral obligation. Trevor savors the moment, letting the photograph hover over the coke while Maya's desperate pleas fill the air. The power rush is intoxicating, complete control over another human being's pain. "Last chance to beg properly," Trevor announces. "Maybe if you get down on your knees and apologize for existing, I might consider—" The diner door explodes inward with such force that the cheerful bell shatters against the wall. Every head whips toward the entrance as if pulled by invisible strings. Colonel Marcus Johnson fills the doorway like an avenging angel, 6 feet of coiled muscle wrapped in dress uniform glory. His medals catch the afternoon light, creating tiny rainbows that dance across the suddenly silent restaurant. His eyes, Maya's eyes but hardened by combat and sharpened by fury, scan the scene with military precision. His daughter is surrounded by predators. His photograph was suspended over destruction, his child's belongings scattered like battlefield debris. The silence stretches for an eternity measured in heartbeats. Trevor's hand freezes over the Coke can, the photograph trembling between his suddenly nerveless fingers. Colonel Johnson's voice, when it finally comes, carries the quiet authority of a man who's commanded soldiers in life-and-death situations. "Step away from my daughter, now!" The transformation is instantaneous and absolute. Trevor's cocky smirk melts like ice under blowtorch heat. His hand, moments ago steady enough to torment a disabled girl, now shakes so violently that Colonel Johnson's photograph flutters like a dying bird. "Sir, we were just—" Trevor's voice cracks like a 13-year-old's, all traces of his earlier bravado evaporating into terrified stammering. Colonel Marcus Johnson steps into the diner with measured precision, each footfall echoing like thunder in the suffocating silence. His dress uniform is immaculate, every crease sharp enough to cut glass, every medal positioned with mathematical exactness. The combat infantry badge gleams above ribbons that tell stories of sacrifice these teenagers couldn't comprehend. The bronze star with V device catches the light, awarded for valor under enemy fire. The purple heart with 2 oak leaf clusters speaks of wounds received in service to country. But it's the distinctive light blue ribbon with 13 white stars that makes knowledgeable observers step back in awe. The Congressional Medal of Honor, America's highest military decoration. Mrs. Patterson gasps first, her weathered hand flying to cover her mouth. "Oh, my dear God! That's Colonel Johnson, the Medal of Honor recipient. His picture's right there on the wall." Every eye in the diner darts between the imposing figure in the doorway and the local hero's wall where Colonel Johnson's official portrait hangs in the place of honor. The same strong jaw, the same unwavering gaze, the same man whose daughter they've spent the last 10 minutes watching get tortured for their entertainment. Elena emerges from behind the counter like a woman walking to her own execution, her voice shaking with a mixture of awe and crushing shame. "Colonel Johnson? Sir, I didn't know Maya was your daughter. She comes in here twice a week, always orders the same apple pie, always says please and thank you, tips even when she orders takeout. She's never caused any trouble, never raised her voice, never complained about anything." The weight of her words hangs heavy, the implication that she watched this blameless child suffer in silence while knowing her character intimately. Elena's hands tremble as reality crashes down. She witnessed the daughter of a war hero getting brutalized and chose her job security over basic human decency. Colonel Johnson's gaze sweeps the scene like a battlefield assessment, his daughter's tear-stained face streaked with humiliation and pain, her precious belongings scattered across the sticky floor like pieces of her broken dreams. The phone clutched in the bully's grip like stolen treasure, his own photograph suspended over destruction by trembling fingers that had no right to touch it. "Young man," Colonel Johnson's voice carries the quiet authority of someone who's commanded troops under enemy fire and made life-and-death decisions in split seconds. "You're holding my daughter's property and my photograph. I suggest you return both, immediately." Trevor tries to hand back the phone, but his coordination has abandoned him entirely. His pampered hands, which have never known real consequence or genuine hardship, shake like leaves in a hurricane. The device slips from his sweaty palms, clattering to the floor with a sound that makes everyone in the diner flinch. I'm sorry, sir. We didn't know she was your—" Trevor's voice rises to a near shriek, panic overtaking his usual calculated cruelty. "You didn't know what?" Colonel Johnson interrupts, his voice still controlled but carrying undertones that make seasoned veterans step carefully. That she's a human being deserving of basic respect, that attacking someone based on their disability is morally reprehensible and legally actionable, or that her father might actually show up to witness your character? The questions hang in the air like artillery shells waiting to explode. Trevor's mouth opens and closes soundlessly, his silver spoon upbringing providing no script for this scenario. Chloe's live stream continues broadcasting to an audience that has exploded past 15,000 viewers, but her commentary has died completely. Comments flood in faster than her phone can display them, some supporting Maya, others recognizing Colonel Johnson, many expressing outrage at what they're witnessing. Her social media empire, built on casual cruelty and manufactured drama, crumbles in real time. Derek tries to become invisible, pressing himself against the booth seat like he can phase through the vinyl and escape. Austin's designer clothes suddenly feel like a costume, his wealthy kid persona revealed as hollow performance art. Brandon stands frozen between loyalty to his friends and recognition that he's witnessing something that will define the rest of his life. Colonel Johnson kneels beside Maya with surprising gentleness, his voice softening dramatically as all traces of military authority give way to paternal love. "I'm here now, sweetheart. Daddy's home early. The deployment got cut short." Maya collapses into his arms, 16 years of accumulated strength finally finding a safe place to break. Her sobs echo through the diner like a dam bursting, releasing months of loneliness, fear, and the crushing weight of missing her father while he served overseas. "I missed you so much," she whispers against his uniform jacket, her tears darkening the fabric. "They said you left because of me. They said you were ashamed of having a broken daughter. They said you were just using the military to escape from dealing with me." "Never." Colonel Johnson's voice cuts through her fears like a sword through silk, absolute conviction ringing in every syllable. "You are my pride and joy, my greatest achievement, the reason I fight to come home, and anyone who thinks otherwise is about to receive an education in reality." He stands slowly, helping Maya to her feet with infinite care, one hand supporting her elbow while the other ensures her braces are properly positioned. When he addresses the diner, his voice carries to every corner without seeming to rise in volume, a skill learned from addressing troops in combat zones. "For those who don't know me, I am Colonel Marcus Johnson, United States Army. I've served 3 combat tours in Afghanistan, leading men and women who volunteered to stand between you and those who would do you harm. I've been awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for actions above and beyond the call of duty." He gestures toward Maya with unmistakable pride, his voice gaining strength as he speaks about his daughter. This remarkable young woman is Maya Johnson. She maintains a 4.0 GPA while managing cerebral palsy that affects her mobility but has never touched her brilliant mind. She's been accepted to Harvard, Yale, and Stanford with full academic scholarships. She volunteers at the VA hospital every Tuesday and Thursday, reading to wounded veterans who sacrificed their bodies for this country. Some of those veterans are missing limbs. Others struggle with traumatic brain injuries. All of them light up when Maya walks into their rooms. The businessman in the corner booth suddenly recognizes the scene from his social media monitoring algorithms, his crisis management software having tracked the viral spread of this incident across multiple platforms in real time. His laptop screen shows viewing statistics that make his eyes widen in disbelief. "Sir," the businessman calls out, his corporate training finally overridden by human decency, "I work for Channel 7 News Crisis Management. This entire incident has been broadcasting live across social media platforms. Current viewer count is approaching 75,000 and climbing exponentially. The hashtag #Murphy'sDinerBullies is trending nationally." Trevor's face drains of all color as the implications hit him like a freight train loaded with consequences. His phone buzzes incessantly with notifications, mentions, tags, shares, and comments flooding his social media accounts faster than his panicked brain can process. Screenshots of his cruelty spread across Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook like wildfire consuming dried kindling. "Oh God, oh God, oh God," Chloe whispers, staring at her own phone screen with the horror of someone watching their future incinerate. "It's everywhere. Everywhere. My college admissions officer just sent me an email. My scholarship sponsor is calling. My parents are driving here right now. Colonel Johnson's expression remains controlled, but something dangerous flickers behind his eyes. The look of a man who's seen evil in combat zones and knows how to respond to it. You filmed yourselves committing hate crimes against a disabled minor. You stole her property, scattered her personal belongings, and made terroristic threats for your entertainment. In my experience, both in military justice and civilian law, actions have consequences. Derek drops to his knees on the sticky diner floor, literally begging with the desperation of someone whose entire future just evaporated. "Please, sir, we're sorry. We didn't mean it. It was just a joke. We were just having fun." "A joke?" Colonel Johnson's voice could freeze flame and shatter steel. "You found my daughter's disability amusing. You thought terrorizing a child was entertainment. You considered destroying her belongings and threatening her safety to be fun?" Mrs. Patterson finally finds her courage, rising from her booth with the authority of 4 decades spent in education and child advocacy. Her voice carries the weight of professional experience and personal shame. "I am absolutely, utterly ashamed that I sat here and said nothing while this beautiful, innocent child was being tortured. We all just watched like cowards while she needed our help." Her husband tries to pull her back down, his voice a desperate whisper. "Dorothy, please, don't make enemies of the Matthews family. They could destroy us financially." But she shakes him off with surprising strength. 40 years of teaching children to stand up to bullies finally overriding her retirement caution. "No, Harold. I spent my entire career teaching students about courage and moral responsibility, and when it mattered most, I failed completely. I failed her, and I failed every lesson I ever taught." The condemnation spreads like wildfire through the diner. Other customers begin voicing their shame and anger, the spell of fear broken by Mrs. Patterson's moral courage. The businessman starts recording on his phone, documenting the aftermath for his news station and his own conscience. Elena steps forward, her voice stronger now that she's found her backbone. "Colonel Johnson, sir, these individuals are permanently banned from this establishment, effective immediately. Maya, sweetheart, your meals are free for life, and I'm personally going to make sure every employee knows to treat you like the remarkable young lady you are. It's the absolute least I can do after—" Her voice breaks with shame and regret. Applause starts slowly. Mrs. Patterson clapping with fierce determination, then the businessman joining in, then other customers throughout the diner. Soon the entire restaurant reverberates with sustained applause for a girl who survived hell with her dignity intact and her spirit unbroken. Austin's phone buzzes with a call from his father, the caller ID reading, "Dad, emergency." He answers with shaking hands, his voice barely a whisper. Within seconds, he's sobbing openly. "Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's all over the internet. Everyone's seen it. I didn't touch her. I swear I didn't touch her, but I laughed. I laughed at her pain." Colonel Johnson observes the breakdown with clinical detachment, a man who's seen the aftermath of poor decisions in life-and-death situations. "Fear is understandable, young man. Cowardice in the face of injustice is not. There's a difference between being afraid and choosing to participate in evil." Trevor's phone erupts with an incoming call from Dad, the screen lighting up like a harbinger of doom. He stares at it like it's a death sentence, knowing that his father, whose political aspirations and business empire depend entirely on public image, is about to learn that his son is trending worldwide for all the wrong reasons. The phone stops ringing, then immediately starts again. Then again. Each ring echoes through the silent diner like a funeral bell. Colonel Johnson retrieves his photograph from where Trevor dropped it, examining it carefully for damage before tucking it safely into Maya's hands. "This picture was taken the day I received the Medal of Honor at the White House. You know what I was thinking about during the entire ceremony?" He looks directly at Trevor, his voice carrying across the silent diner with perfect clarity. "I was thinking about coming home to my daughter. About how proud I was that she was mine. About how she faces challenges every single day that would break grown men, combat veterans, people who think they're tough. And she does it with more grace, more courage, and more dignity than I've seen in soldiers who've earned Bronze Stars for valor." Sirens wail in the distance, growing louder by the second, multiple vehicles approaching at high speed. Colonel Johnson checks his watch with military precision, his timing as exact as always. Local police should arrive shortly. I believe they'll want to discuss several charges: harassment of a disabled person under the Americans with Disabilities Act, assault and battery, theft of personal property, and potentially hate crime violations under federal law. The fact that you recorded yourselves committing these crimes will make prosecution remarkably straightforward. Trevor begins hyperventilating, his carefully constructed world of privilege and immunity crumbling around him like a house of cards in a Category 5 hurricane. His future, college, career, social standing, dissolves in real time as the viral video spreads across platforms and news networks. 6 months later, the Millbrook County Courthouse buzzes with media attention as Judge Margaret Carter delivers her verdict. Trevor Matthews sits at the defendant's table, his designer clothes replaced by a humble button-down shirt, his arrogant smirk long gone. Beside him, his expensive legal team shuffles papers with the resigned air of lawyers who know video evidence makes defense impossible. The defendants are hereby sentenced to 300 hours of community service at the Veterans Affairs Medical Center, mandatory sensitivity training through the Disability Rights Coalition, and 3 years supervised probation, Judge Carter announces, her voice carrying the weight of justice delayed but not denied. Additionally, they will write formal apologies to Miss Johnson, make full restitution for emotional damages, and attend monthly counseling sessions focused on empathy development. Maya sits in the gallery between her father and Elena Rodriguez, who has become an unexpected ally and friend. The diner manager's testimony about witnessing the incident proved crucial in securing convictions on all charges. The ripple effects of that viral afternoon spread far beyond the courthouse. Trevor's college scholarship vanished within hours of the video trending. His father's mayoral campaign imploded when opponents aired footage of his son's cruelty and attack ads. The Matthews family real estate empire hemorrhaged clients as businesses distanced themselves from the toxic brand. But the consequences weren't uniformly destructive. The viral moment sparked conversations about disability rights across social media platforms. Maya received thousands of supportive messages from people sharing their own stories of overcoming challenges. Harvard University's Disability Services Department reached out personally, ensuring her transition to college would be seamless. Cut to present day, Trevor pushes a wheelchair through the corridors of the VA hospital, his movements careful and respectful. The cocky quarterback who once mocked disability now assists veterans with traumatic injuries, learning firsthand about courage, sacrifice, and the arbitrary nature of physical limitation. "Trevor," calls out Sergeant First Class Rodriguez, a double amputee who lost both legs to an IED in Syria. "Could you help me reach that book on the top shelf?" "Of course, Sergeant," Trevor responds immediately, his voice carrying none of its former arrogance. 6 months of working alongside genuine heroes has stripped away his performative cruelty, replacing it with hard-earned humility. The transformation wasn't instant or easy. Trevor's first weeks at the VA were marked by sullen compliance and barely concealed resentment. But gradually, hearing stories of real courage from men and women who'd sacrificed everything for others, something fundamental shifted in his worldview. Chloe Henderson's story took a different path. Her TikTok account, once boasting 50,000 followers, became a cautionary tale about viral consequences. Colleges rescinded acceptance offers. Modeling agencies canceled contracts. Her parents enrolled her in a wilderness therapy program designed to rebuild character from the ground up. When she emerged months later, Chloe found purpose volunteering with disabled children at a local recreation center. Her social media savvy, previously weaponized for cruelty, now promotes inclusion and acceptance. Her follower count remains a fraction of its former size, but her content carries meaning beyond manufactured drama. Derek Walsh transferred schools, unable to face the constant reminder of his failures. At his new high school across town, he joined an anti-bullying program, sharing his story as a cautionary tale. The shame of his actions became fuel for genuine change, though the guilt still wakes him some nights. Austin Park's wealthy parents cut off his allowance and forced him to work minimum wage at a local nonprofit. The teenager who once drowned in insecurities and expensive clothes now finds purpose in honest labor. His designer wardrobe gathered dust while he learned the value of earning respect through actions, rather than purchasing it through brands. Brandon Cole's decision to testify against his former friends created initial social isolation, but eventually earned him Maya's forgiveness and friendship. He became her ally at school, using his insider knowledge of social hierarchies to protect other vulnerable students. His courage in the courtroom, though delayed, sparked a friendship built on mutual respect. Maya stands at a podium in the packed Millbrook High Auditorium, addressing an assembly about disability awareness and bullying prevention. Her voice carries confidence earned through surviving hell and emerging stronger. "What happened at Murphy's Diner wasn't just about me," Maya tells the captivated audience. "It was about all of us choosing to stand up or stay silent when we witness injustice. Bullying thrives in silence and dies when communities find their voice." The standing ovation that follows isn't polite applause. It's genuine appreciation from students who recognize truth when they hear it. In the audience, Colonel Johnson wipes away tears of pride, his daughter having exceeded even his highest expectations. Murphy's Diner underwent its own transformation. Elena Rodriguez, promoted to owner with Colonel Johnson as silent partner, implemented strict anti-harassment policies. The restaurant now displays Maya's photograph alongside other local heroes, her National Honor Society portrait bearing the caption, "Courage comes in all forms." The corner booth that Trevor's group once commandeered bears a new plaque, reserved for heroes, military and civilian. Maya often sits there while doing homework, her presence a reminder that heroism isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's simply refusing to let cruelty define you. The viral video, now studied in social psychology classes nationwide, serves as a case study in both the destructive power of mob mentality and the transformative potential of accountability. Maya regularly speaks at conferences about disability rights, her story inspiring legislation strengthening protections for vulnerable populations. Trevor approaches Maya outside the courthouse after sentencing, his steps hesitant and humble. 6 months of working with wounded veterans has taught him the difference between genuine courage and performative bravado. "Maya," he says quietly, his voice stripped of its former arrogance. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness, and I'm not asking for friendship, but I want you to know that meeting you, seeing what real strength looks like, changed my life completely. I'm not asking for redemption, just the chance to prove I can be better than the person I was that day." Maya studies his face, seeing exhaustion where arrogance once lived, humility where entitlement once reigned. After a long pause that feels like hours, she extends her hand. "Trevor, the person you were that day doesn't have to define who you become, but that's a choice only you can make every single day for the rest of your life." They shake hands while cameras capture the moment, not for viral fame this time, but as documentation of possibility. Redemption isn't guaranteed, but it's available to those willing to earn it through consistent action rather than empty promises. Colonel Johnson, now retired and working as a disability rights advocate, watches the interaction with military precision. His daughter's capacity for forgiveness amazes him daily, her strength manifesting not in vengeance but in the radical act of believing people can change. Maya returns to Murphy's Diner that evening, where Elena serves her the traditional apple pie celebration, this time marking her acceptance to Harvard Law School with a full scholarship. The same booth where she was once humiliated now hosts triumph. The Wall of Heroes includes new additions, photographs of local disability advocates, teachers who've made differences, and students who've shown exceptional character. Maya's picture hangs among them, but she's already focused on the future. Law school, advocacy work, and a mission to ensure no other child faces what she endured alone. Outside, the sun sets over Millbrook, casting long shadows across a community forever changed by one afternoon when silence broke and justice found its voice. Maya Johnson's story didn't end in Murphy's Diner that afternoon. It began there. What started as a moment of cruelty became a catalyst for change that rippled far beyond one small town in America. Today, Maya serves as Harvard Law School's youngest disability rights advocate, her voice carrying the authority of someone who's lived the struggles she fights to eliminate. Her father, Colonel Johnson, works alongside her, their partnership proving that heroes come in many forms. Some wear uniforms, others wear leg braces, all carry the courage to stand when others choose to kneel. The statistics behind Maya's story paint a sobering picture of reality. Every single day, 160,000 students skip school to avoid bullying. Students with disabilities face harassment at rates 3 times higher than their peers. But here's what bullies like Trevor never understood. These same students often become our strongest leaders, our most compassionate healers, our most innovative thinkers. History proves this pattern repeatedly. Franklin D. Roosevelt led America through its darkest hours from a wheelchair. Stephen Hawking unlocked the mysteries of the universe despite ALS. Temple Grandin revolutionized animal welfare while managing autism. Their disabilities didn't limit them. They became sources of unique strength and perspective. Maya's transformation from victim to advocate illustrates a profound truth. Adversity either breaks us or builds us, and the choice is ours. Those 10 minutes in Murphy's diner could have destroyed her confidence forever. Instead, they forged steel from vulnerability, turning pain into purpose. The community's response reveals another crucial lesson. Mrs. Patterson's initial silence, followed by her courageous testimony, demonstrates that it's never too late to find your moral backbone. Elena Rodriguez's evolution from fearful bystander to protective ally shows how shame can become fuel for positive change. Even the businessman who documented everything learned that crisis management isn't just about protecting corporations. Sometimes it's about protecting humanity. Trevor's journey from predator to advocate proves that redemption is possible, but only through sustained action rather than empty apologies. His 300 hours at the VA hospital taught him what genuine courage looks like. Not the performative bravado of a high school quarterback, but the quiet strength of veterans who sacrifice for others. The viral nature of Maya's ordeal highlights both social media's destructive potential and its power for justice. The same technology that spread cruelty also sparked accountability, proving that in our connected world, actions have consequences that extend far beyond their immediate moment. But Maya's story isn't just about individual transformation. It's about systemic change. The anti-bullying legislation that passed in 3 states following her testimony will protect countless vulnerable students. The sensitivity training programs now mandatory in Millbrook schools create lasting cultural shifts. The disability awareness campaigns sparked by her advocacy reach millions of people worldwide. Murphy's Diner itself became a symbol of community responsibility. Elena's decision to ban the bullies and embrace Maya sent a message that businesses must choose between profit and principles won. The restaurant's new policies inspire similar changes nationwide, proving that individual courage can reshape entire institutions. The friendship between Maya and Brandon demonstrates that bystanders can become allies when they find the courage to act. His testimony against his former friends cost him social status, but earned him genuine respect, a trade that improved his life immeasurably. For every Trevor who chose cruelty, there are potential allies waiting for someone to show them another way. Maya's forgiveness didn't excuse his actions. It provided a roadmap for genuine change. Her capacity to see possibility in her tormentor reveals the kind of character that changes the world. The next time you witness someone being diminished, remember Maya's story. Ask yourself, will you be the bystander who records for entertainment, or the person who intervenes for justice? Will you wait for someone else's father to walk through the door, or will you be the adult in the room when courage is needed? Every school has a Maya, a student facing challenges that others mock instead of admire. Every community has the Murphy's Diner, a place where character gets tested in real time. Every social media platform carries the potential for both destruction and justice, depending on how we choose to use it. Maya's message is simple but revolutionary. Everyone deserves dignity, respect, and the chance to belong. But dignity isn't automatically granted. It's defended by communities that refuse to look away when the vulnerable need protection. Share this story if you believe that strength comes in many forms, that heroes wear many faces, and that the measure of a community isn't how it treats its most privileged members, but how it protects its most vulnerable ones. Tag someone who needs to hear that their worth isn't determined by others' ignorance. Comment about a time when you chose courage over comfort. Subscribe if you believe that stories like Maya's deserve amplification over content that tears people down. Remember, heroes aren't born in moments of glory. They're forged in moments when ordinary people choose to do extraordinary things. Be the person Maya needed that day. Be the voice that refuses to stay silent. Be the change that makes cruelty impossible and kindness inevitable. Because in the end, we're all just one choice away from being either the problem or the solution.
The story you heard today wasn't cleaned up. It was told exactly as it happened. At Black Voices Uncut, we believe that's the only way truth can live. If you felt something, hit like, comment, and your reaction, and subscribe. Every week, we bring you voices that refuse to be silenced.